Hey, Beatitudes, it's Jeff Schiefelbein. I'm coming at you with a quick disclaimer for this show. The show that we're about to listen to is full of humor and holiness, just like every episode of the Beatitudes, but this one goes a little bit deeper on the emotional side. In fact, when we were recording the show, all three of us and our guest were in a place of tears, and even in editing this show, we found ourselves moved and very emotional. So just a quick heads up, it's not a funny opener on this show for today. And when you're listening to the show, which I think is a very critical show to listen to, I would just give you a heads up that you might not want to be in the middle of a work project or maybe not even driving for the parts that start to get really emotional about halfway through this show. So take a moment and prepare yourself for the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes! So yeah, Beatitudes, welcome back to another great episode of the Beatitudes. I am Jeff Schiefelbein. I'm so happy to be here with you, along with my co-host, Paul Kolker.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, Paul. And Nick Besner.
I'm Nick Besner.
And I support the Beatitudes. I can't wait for us to dive in and get to talk to this guest. And it dawned on me, this tiny table continues to get smaller somehow.
Oh, I've been shaving inches off of it after every single show.
It's like a prank.
A Shawshank Redemption style.
You took it from me. I shake out the sawdust out of my pants when I walk in the courtyard.
Are you attempting to escape or just get us all closer?
Both.
Yes.
Oh.
Eventually I will escape because of the uncomfortable closeness.
Well, I thought about this. I actually have this distinct privilege of never having touched any of our guests' legs.
Oh.
Because of where I sit.
That is your distinct privilege.
To be clear, it's just our knees touching. I'm not like, putting my hand on Todd's knee over here.
Hey, Jeff, 2 hands on the table.
2 hands on the table. You got it.
Keeping us accountable.
Guess what, everybody? That's our guest, Todd Storch. Welcome to the show, Todd.
I am really glad to be here.
This show is all about Christian men seeking to follow God's will as we grow together in humor and holiness. And you, my friend, are part of the Beatitudes now. Welcome to the next level. Your journey.
This is your
This
life.
is level 2. Everybody out there is a level 1 Beatitude.
Yeah, you're level. Oh,
now
that's
you're
a
level.
good, yeah.
Now you're level 2.
So I get the little number 2 above the patch now?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
So you're earning your
Perfect.
stripes, right?
That's right. So we're going to have to embroider that jacket afterwards.
Excellent.
Yeah, but we'll let you pick the color.
You got it.
Awesome. Todd.
Pantone 319.
Exactly.
He knows it. Love it.
That's awesome. So there is so much to cover with you, Todd, but I actually want to stop and say something real quick. I was at a performance that Paul was doing, an improv comedy performance in Coppell, Texas, where he shouts out to the crowd of 150, and we have Todd Storch here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Storch. And he looks around and, I actually could tell you what happened after that.
Oh, that was the first show.
And then the
when
second
Todd-
show, you were there. You
Yes.
were rocking it in the improv audience participating. What's the connection here? What is that part here for you two?
It's a great connection. So I was on the board at the Coppell Arts Center. We
Okay.
helped started the Coppell Arts Center Foundation. And I got to see Paul and this great group at down at the Dallas location. And I'm a connector of people.
Yeah.
I love connecting people. And had the opportunity, I reached out to Janine, who is in charge of the Arts Center, and said, I have an act I want to bring. Call up Paul. Paul, I want to bring you. What do you think? Put you two together and look what we're doing.
Yeah.
Look what you're doing. It's
Well,
fabulous.
I mean, but
It's
you're the
fabulous.
matchmaker, and he was a big brother as well. We got him up on stage in Christmas of 2020 or something like
I
that.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it
at
was-
the big show, at the main show.
At the main show in Dallas, yeah, and it was shortly after that he was like, "Hey, actually, we've got this theater we're opening," and I
Tell
said,
them what the Big Brother
"Yeah."
bit is, up for anybody listening.
Oh yeah, so what we do is at the very end of the show, so we've done a whole show of improv where we're drawing suggestions off the board and all of this, and every so often we're interviewing somebody from the crowd and making up a song about them or things like that. Well, at the very end, there's this whole bit where it's like I play this little kid who's in need of guidance from a big brother, and so we spotlight somebody in the crowd, and that person comes up and throws the football with me, and I interview him, and I basically am just like, "Oh wow, that's great. So what do you do for a living?" And I play that voice up, and Being 8 years old is where I peaked as a human, so it works in my favor.
Flow.
Yeah, it just flows. But yeah, so we interview him, and then after the big brother goes and sits down, he gets to keep the football, first of all. So it's a 4-day weekend branded football that he gets to take. And then after that, we have a scene that's based off of that person's life vaguely. And then somebody in our group comes out dressed up exactly like who that big brother was and what he looks like with beard and hair and hats and all that. And then he saves the day. And so the big brother ends up being the hero. And that was Todd one night.
It was fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
It was absolutely fabulous. You got the music choice right.
Yeah.
You had the sweatshirt correct. Yeah, but seriously, I mean, it's a fantastic show, and we're really glad you're at the Coppell Arts Center.
Well,
People
thank you.
need to come see it.
Well, and it's exciting because they just extended us for another 6 months there. So we are thrilled.
6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I knew something was in the works, but that's awesome.
No, yeah, it's official now.
Yeah, you said no, yeah. That's like the
No, yeah.
least improv thing you could say to me.
No, yeah.
No, it's just being a California. Oh, yeah. No,
No,
We got the
Totally,
extension.
totally.
Or Australian. Yeah, no, yeah. No, wait, that's Californian again.
Yeah, well, don't ask me. Everything I do sounds the same. East Texas Australian.
An Australian transplant to East Texas who's been there for 10 years.
That's actually a really big deal in East
Perfect.
Texas. You don't know.
Yeah.
Todd, where'd you grow up?
Everywhere. I call San Antonio, Texas home because that's
Yeah.
where I graduated high school from.
Nice.
Which high school?
Douglas MacArthur High School.
Yeah.
Go Brahmas.
Oh, go Brahmas.
Go Brahmas, yeah.
Do you know
what a
before
Brahma
you said
is?
that, everybody said that. That's
I
like
know,
a big
it's-
deal nationally.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
y'all song, though, right? Like Sweet Home Alabama's.
It's just like that, but different.
Where the
You're real
hums-
good at letting me down easy.
Just like that, but-
You're like, that joke was dumb, but I won't tell it to you. That
Yes,
was-
and not like that.
Yes.
Todd, tell us about your working world, your career. Like you've had a microphone in front of your face a few times.
I sure have.
That's a weird thing to say. Tell us about your background. There's a radio component to this. What's your world like up until this peaking moment on the Beatitudes?
Wow. Let's make this interesting. So ultimately, I am an accountant. I have an accounting degree. I thought I wanted to be an investment banker.
Yes.
With all those, pivot tables and all that stuff.
There's a crazy love happening
Yes,
right here.
yes. So that part of my brain was firing. I had a great job at what was Arthur Andersen back in the day, and I realized I was climbing the wrong ladder. And basically said, we got to do something different. Make a long story short, I got into sales, and I went into radio sales, and we were at KRLD back when they had the Texas Rangers. The studio was actually in the ballpark of Arlington, which was
that studio up in
beautiful.
that- Yeah.
1996 was a cool year. Anyway, worked my way through radio, did all kinds of stuff. Sales manager, national sales manager, went to a number of different stations, help stations, basically changed their formats. And so I did that. From that, I went into consulting. And I did consulting, strategic sales, executive consulting for every type of media there is, from newspaper. Actually helped build the largest digital sales organization up in New York. It was called Katz Media at the time. And so I did that for years and years and years. That was a company that I loved working for because the people were great. I could juggle a lot of different things. And that was actually a pivotal moment because it leads up to the death of Taylor. And so my oldest daughter, she passed away while I was working there. Now I'm traveling a ton. So I had to make a decision. Yeah. So make a long story short, we started Taylor's Gift Foundation. I did that for 4 or 5 years, and then started doing executive consulting, and now I do executive revenue consulting for companies all over the place.
There's a lot in what you just said. I'd be completely remiss if we didn't back up and tell us about your kids and Taylor in that.
Yeah, a big part of our story is our children. So my wife, Tara, and 2 of you guys have met Tara. You'll get to meet her at some point in time. You're making the rounds with the rest of the family.
That's right.
But we've been married 30 years this August. We have 3 amazing children. Peyton is our youngest. She's 22. She is a labor and delivery nurse
Awesome.
at what I call Presbyterian. It's Texas Health Presbyterian. Doing fabulous, doing overnights. Don't know how she does it. That's why God makes people young to do these things. Ryan, who some of you guys know Ryan, he's 25 years old, married just over a year, has a wonderful daughter named Claire, and I'm a granddad now.
That's incredible.
This was actually my father's
Oh, it says
date.
grandpa.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was-
Established 2022.
I love that.
this was how they announced it to me.
Nice.
So they have Claire, and married to a wonderful woman, Jordan. And then Taylor's my oldest. She would be 27. She passed away when she was 13, but she'd be 27. So 27, 25, almost 23.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you started talking about Taylor. You started talking about a foundation. Can you go into this? You said she passed while you were working, but that's not the moment it happened. You just happened to be at that job, right?
Yeah, that was at the job. So 2010, you guys been skiing before. I mean, it's March, it's spring break. The whole family's going. My kids love to ski. It's the first time that Peyton was 8 at the time. But you guys can visualize the fun, right?
Yeah.
You're on this vacation, and it's day one, and it's the last run of the day. So it's just me, Ryan, and Taylor. My wife, Tara, and our youngest, Peyton, were tired. They went back, got some hot chocolate, did their thing. And so I'm having a blast. I am on the slopes with Ryan and Taylor. They've both skied plenty of times. And I'm watching the two of them in front of me. And I'm just, it's just the most beautiful scene coming down the mountain, slow. But there was an accident. Taylor lost control, and she ended up doing that move where you're, kind of on your butt, but you're still skiing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she went into the trees, and she had an accident. And from that accident, she passed away. But we got asked a question in the hospital that we were never prepared for. We got asked the question, your daughter, Taylor, is a beautiful candidate to be an organ donor. Would you consider? And I looked at Tara across the room. Not a word was spoken. And I said, absolutely. And that was a pivotal moment, what I considered just personally for me as a growth moment, because it gave some hope in a horrible situation.
Yeah.
And so from there, the story kind of grew. And the nonprofit was formed, and we did a lot of work, and we're very excited about the work that we continue to do with Taylor's Gift Foundation.
And her organs, what happened with when you said yes? What happened next?
So she ended up saving and improving the lives of 5 people, 2 kidneys, a cornea, heart transplant. The heart went to a wonderful woman named Patricia. Now, and what even became, I'll just say, more blessed, I mean, God was blessing us along the way in a horrible situation. But we got to actually meet, a number of the recipients.
Wow.
That doesn't really happen very often.
Yeah, that's not like part of the plan,
No,
right?
It's not a part of the plan.
Yeah.
For 1,000 reasons, no reason to get into that. But we got to meet a lot of them, mainly just because of social media. There was a big presence of what we were doing. And that helped propel the Taylor's Gift Foundation into a national arena of the work that we were doing at the time, of helping people that needed financial aid. And then obviously anytime that, people were thinking about becoming an organ donor, we were trying to put something in their heads so that it wasn't negative. The story I always tell about this, I bet all of us have life insurance. Could you imagine how hard a sell it would be if it was called death insurance?
Yeah.
Okay, so organ donation is the same thing. You have to pass away before this gift moves on to somebody. So we kind of spun it on its head, and we started talking about outliving yourself. And we coined outlive yourself. What can you do while you're here to make it better when you're not? That's a great conversation around the table. Doesn't have to be about organ donation, but we wanted to prompt that.
I read the book Taylor's Gift before I ever met you. I read it because I met your son, and I know your daughter-in-law, and it was a little bit of just curiosity, and then it turned into just trying to honor your son, who I think is a man I admire in a really beautiful way. And I'm crying now because I couldn't turn 2 pages without crying. And my wife would try to ask me a question during that week I was reading it, and she would look over at me and be like, forget it. Like, I'm not going to, I know you can't speak right now. It was such a powerful book, but I also have to tell you what it caused, which was, I think, and I'm going to use the wrong terms, but you talk in the book about how just because you have something marked on your ID, like your driver's license, doesn't mean you're registered at the level that you might think you are. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I think there's people listening who probably presume that they are fully equipped, and maybe they haven't even done the right stuff yet.
The main thing anybody in the United States can do, go to taylorsgift.org, click that you want to become an organ donor, and you're going to be able to go to whatever state you live in, you're going to go to that state's database. Okay, so you have to be on your state's database. There's no national database for this, which is kind of confusing, but it's like getting your driver's license. You have to do it by state. So there's a lot of times, and this is data, and all you guys in the business world understand this. Like, if one system doesn't talk to the other system, then there is no connection, and that happens all the time. I mean, so you tell when you're getting your driver's license, yes, I want to be an organ donor. Back in the day, that information never made it to the computer side. So
somebody'd have to look at your ID. They'd literally have to ID this thing.
I mean, and how
that didn't happen.
Archaic is that, right? But now you go to a state registry. We've got them all listed right there at taylorsgift.org. Make that decision. But even more importantly than doing that, and everybody should do that, or at least have the conversation of why they believe it's important. But even more important than that is to have an outlive yourself conversation with your family, with your friends. How do we leave the world better than we find it? Oh, and by the way, one way to do that is register to be an organ donor, because you're going to help others that you may never know in your entire life. It's a beautiful gift.
You can't hear this and still be passive about it. Like, what are you holding on to? What is that cornea going to do for you when you pass?
There's a lot of misinformation out there, right? We live in a world of, a couple of different, headlines, and they make news. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. The bottom line is that it is the most generous gift that you could potentially give to somebody else that's going to need it. To help them live a longer life, help them live, help them see, help them be able to use a part of their body that they may never, ever be able to use again. And you're giving a gift to that person and that person's extended family. So you think about a ripple effect, the butterfly effect. Man, one single yes, you're never going to know the permutations and how many folks are going to be touched. I mean, it really is, it's just God in action. It really is.
There's a registry on taylorsgift.org.
Correct.
What else is Taylor's Gift as a foundation focused on?
We are focused on one very specific thing, and I'm really proud about it, and I'm very proud of the work that the board and the foundation does. We help grief support to those families that are touched by organ donation. That is our number one program. It's
you know that firsthand.
Yes.
Where is the support for the family that said yes?
It was born from our pain. Yeah. It was born from Tara and I really just searching with help from community. I mean, we live in Coppell, Texas, and some of you know about that place, and the community rallied around us. I mean, we had support we never knew that we had. And I recognized very, very soon, Tara and I also recognized, this is not normal. Most people do not have this type of support. And we had great counselors. I had really good insurance. It was really inexpensive. It was easily accessible. And realized this isn't quote unquote normal. And we realized how many other families, because of the thousands of folks that would reach out to us and say, so-and-so passed away. Could you talk to them? Their son passed away. They were able to donate their organs. They don't know what to do. And so we just found an opportunity that had a gap and said, we can fill that gap the best we can. And so our grief support system does one-on-one counseling that's free to that family and their entire family for a year. And we also have group counseling, and all that's available at taylorsgift.org.
Talk about community for a second, if you will. This happened to you out of state. There's no mountains in Texas. I checked. Very few snow skiers that stay here for snow skiing. So it happened in Colorado, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you go through the most life-altering events there. What happens when you come back? Because I'm keep thinking about there's people who they try to figure out how can I be a contributor to something? Well, first of all, you can be an organ donor. But what does it mean to you to come back in and have a reception or a support? We might think, well, this guy's not going to care if I stand on the side of the street and show my support in solidarity or whatever. But I think about, geez, I'm going to keep crying. I think about the book.
Yeah.
The description of what you guys came back to, I can't even fathom that. I went and watched the news. There's still stuff on YouTube. You can go back and watch that reception. I got to believe that people who maybe went along not knowing what it would mean, the multitude of just people in the community that just showed love, and there's no differences at that point. We're just humans.
Honestly, I'll describe that a little bit, but I never saw that reception as for me or for Tara or our family. We were the beneficiary of it. I really saw this as a large group of people in Coppell, Texas that want to celebrate life, and they want to extend help in whatever way they can. And so what happened is when we came back and we made the right-hand turn to then make the left-hand turn to go down to our subdivision, the entire street, I'm going to call it 1,000 yards, was lined with people like a parade, all holding balloons. And as we came home, they let the balloons go. I later learned from the mayor of Coppell that she actually had to call the DFW airport and the FCC to let them know that this event was happening because we're in a flight path to DFW airport.
Oh my gosh.
Ellen DeGeneres was not happy with us because we littered, and I told her there was probably a better way to do it, but I was in no place to make that happen.
Listen up, everybody.
That's a side note. I can't describe how it felt. I was blown away. I think part of me missed half of it just through tears. I do remember faces that I saw, and wow. And that really, to me, was a moment where I believe that God used a whole lot of people, and we rallied around something that people saw good in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a horrible situation, but this is what makes, I think, people the best, is when they can respond and do good. And we need more and more and more of that every day. And this was an opportunity, and we were the beneficiaries of it. And, we feel very responsible to pay that forward. Yeah.
If I can jump in on that too, I was actually in seminary at the time that all of this happened, and I remember I was blessed with the opportunity to serve at the funeral mass. Didn't even know who y'all were at the time, but the church was, it was like an Easter Sunday mass in terms of the number of people there, and it was almost like all of Coppell High School was there, and or middle school, whatever it was, but it was overflowing with people who were there in support, and I just remember thinking, wow, who is this person, this family? Because I didn't even really know who you guys were at the time.
Man, we need to talk about that because I didn't know that.
Yeah,
we've never talked about that.
No, yeah, it's just something that I remember that specific moment, and people explained what had happened and your story, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's tragic, But then praying through it, and then of course seeing the outpouring and how God seemed to be moving in so many teens' lives at the time too, to maybe draw them closer through all of that. It was that is surreal.
Man, that is a really amazing connection. That's that's another God blessing of knowing you as an individual and having more things to connect on. Taylor was an amazing, amazing kiddo. And everybody that has children, all of our kids are amazing. Taylor had this way to just make people feel better, make them want to do better. That was just a part of who she was. And as a father, I've been able to reconcile that. Her time was 13 years. That's what God blessed us with. And he had a plan, and he knew that, 13 years is where Taylor, that is going to be the ability to carry forward ways that, would never be possible. And that was her time on earth, and the impact that she continues to make, the stories that Tara and I and our family hear from folks, not dissimilar to what you just shared, that's not because of me. It's not because of Tara. It's not because of Ryan or Peyton honestly, this is all God. And Tara and I just feel and felt a huge responsibility to capitalize on this. That's a wrong way of saying it.
I know what you're saying.
Not capitalize,
to seize the grace-filled moment.
Yeah.
To seize that.
It's like allow God
forward.
to capitalize on it.
Yes.
The framing.
Not let it go to waste.
Yes,
there you go.
Yeah.
Brother, This is going to be the longest show in history because eventually we're going to be funny again. We'll get there. I promise we'll get there.
People are looking at you. It's okay.
Thanks. Gosh.
Ooh, slam.
He's
That's a slam dunk in the face.
Boy. All right. Well, I'm going to bring it back down a second. So Taylor has gifted us with the support that people are feeling when they experience the same organ donation. She's gifted us with people signing up for organ donation. But I had to say bye to a kid that ended up living, and he turns 4 this week, and it's this beautiful thing. But because I read that book before I knew you, it is often that I will make sure I'm putting my head up against my kids' chests so that I can hear their heartbeat, because I remember reading about y'all getting to hear your daughter's heartbeat in somebody else's body. And I just want to hear it. Like every single moment's a miracle. And if we lose sight of that, that's okay, but find ways to get back to it. This isn't about some future state that we're going to. Your daughter her time was 13 years. Can you talk for a second? You dropped Ellen DeGeneres. I like to throw in, a lot of the big celebrities that give me a whipping for my trash habits. What does Ellen DeGeneres have to do with this? Gosh.
So first of all, wow, what a beautiful scene. Just visualizing, listening to your kid's heartbeat, and that just warms my heart. And honestly, unfortunately, a lot of times it takes something bad to happen so that you recognize, wow, there was something good that was going on. And for anybody that's out there that sees this or is listening to it, ultimately, if you've lost a child, you've had a tragedy, and everybody does. I mean, ours just, you don't have to lose a child to have a tragedy in your life. Yeah. This was just our path. There's help for you. There's resources for you. There are friends for you. And, if you're touched by organ donation, Taylor's gift can be there for you as well. So the Ellen DeGeneres story was we began to get a lot of national press. The national press really started when Patricia Winters, who lived in Colorado, she received her heart, but we had already been in conversation with the family. We had already been in conversation with her husband because they found us because of Facebook, because of all these other things that were going on. And her husband, Joe, was putting 2 and 2 together. There's like Colorado, then they live in this town called Coppell, and then it's really easy to find people. So this was a beautiful connection. And this isn't normal. So we got called by some friends of ours at WFAA here in Dallas, a huge ABC television station, and they said, what would you guys think about us being on the road with you when you go meet Patricia? Because we had scheduled this because Tara had one thing that she wanted to do. If she ever got the opportunity to hear the heart, she wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And so here was that opportunity that was presented, to us and to help Tara with her steps. Oh, and by the way, Patricia was a nurse, and so we thought long and hard about this, and we said, you know what, this is a great way to expand this message of good. Yeah. And so we did that, and that ended up on the Today Show, and then we got calls from everybody. Ellen DeGeneres' crew was one of them. Tara was on the Ellen DeGeneres show, and that was another great thing. To help people understand the good in organ donation. And so she was fabulous.
Your daughter wrote a poem shortly before she passed, right?
Yep.
That mentions Ellen DeGeneres. And gosh, I'm going to surprise you with this. If we're going to keep crying for a little bit, let's just keep going. We'll play our games after the commercial break. I sent you a video back in January because I finally went to the garden outside of your daughter's middle school called Tara's Garden, right? Taylor's Garden.
Yeah, Taylor's Garden, Coppell Middle School East.
Now, I just wanted to see it. I knew it was beautiful. I knew that there a lot of work and love had been put into it from the community from reading your book. And then there's the plaque, and it has Taylor's poem on there. So my daughter crawls up, my 7-year-old now, she was 7 at the time, Amelia crawls up on top of it. She starts reading it, and I missed the very first word, I think it says I'm kind and generous, something like that is the very first word. So I missed the very first word, but I ended up sending you the video. And I remember your reaction was that you've probably read this poem a million times, that you've heard other people read it, but to hear a little girl read it. So knowing we were going to do the show with you, I grabbed it and I threw it on this little button I can press here. So I would love for the world to be able to hear Taylor's poem as read by Amelia, also with one of my kids saying he wants to see the video. I think it's Ambrose button in. So there is some levity in this because I do have a lot of kids and they're crawling all over the place. But maybe I can share this.
Please.
We can take a deep breath and we'll hear from our sponsors after that. But this is the poem that Taylor wrote. And I believe this
was a project in 8th grade.
Yeah, tell us the setup.
And the project was basically write a poem about just who you are. I mean, the title of the project was I Am.
I Am.
And each kid, wrote their own poem about who they are.
All right, well, here we go. This is Taylor's poem, I Am.
I wonder how long is forever. I hear support from my family whenever I need it. I see myself helping people in every way I can.
Daddy, press the button.
I want to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I am outgoing and friendly, and I pretend I can do anything I want to. I feel
Daddy,
touched
I want to hold your
by
phone
the
and see the
generosity
video.
of my sister. I touch people's lives. I worry about failing. I cry at the thought of losing a member of my family. I am outgoing and friendly. I understand how to make people feel happy. I say with pride that I am Christian. I dream about becoming a teacher. I try to make every day like my last. I hope to become successful in life. I am outgoing and friendly. Taylor Page Storch.
We're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Let me tell you about Decided Excellence magazine. Decided Excellence is a great resource reaching thousands of families in your local community. They've got original content featuring local families and notable theologians like Scott Hahn. If you're looking to grow in a specific way, they can be a great partner for that as well. They partner with thousands of parishes creating parish magazines. If you're a business owner, Decided Excellence can be a great way to advertise to homeowners right there in your backyard. And if you're looking to earn a little bit of extra income, Decided Excellence has a partnership program where you can become the owner and publisher of your local magazine. So partner with Decided Excellence and begin growing together today.
Hey y'all, this is Jeff Schiefelbein. When Nick and I set out to start our new company, Undivided Life, we were really concerned about how would we cover the healthcare needs of our growing families, and we were so excited to find a company that fit both our medical needs and our faith beliefs perfectly. It's called Solidarity Health Share. It is an ethical alternative to traditional health insurance. We're never part of sharing in the medical costs of anything that goes against the teachings of the Catholic Church, making it a great alternative for Catholics and Christians alike. Solidarity is very affordable, which is perfect for a large family or for a new and growing business like the one we've started. So visit joinsolidarity.com today so that you can get started with us.
Hi, it's Paul Kolker from the Beatitudes here, and I just wanted to share with you guys that I also, outside of the show, perform improv comedy on a regular basis with a group called Divine Comedy. So what we do is we come up with everything on the spot, so whether you're looking for faith-filled, fun, family-friendly comedy for your youth night, or whether you're looking for clean comedy for your corporate event, Divine Comedy can perform for your group and even get you in on the action. So if you'd like to hire us to come out and perform for your next event, check out DivineComedyImprov.com. Divine Comedy, an inferno of fun.
welcome back, everybody. Quite an emotional first half of the show there, Todd.
Hey, is everybody okay? I mean, it's
That's
okay.
a legit question.
That's a great one.
I mean, these are tough stories, but honestly, I mean, Jeff, to honor us with tears and your heart, and I mean, there's tears flowing all over it, including mine. But seriously, I mean, that is okay, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you doing that and sharing it.
I feel blessed to be able to share that emotion with you after feeling like I was a participant that was only reading your story from behind the book.
Sure.
We've had a lot of really great people on the show. To be able to sit next to you is a true honor, but it's because you raised Taylor. It's because you didn't let Taylor, her story stop at 13. Her story's alive right now. So,
Yeah.
I got two things. One comment. Todd, you're the coolest looking dad I've ever seen.
Granddad.
Granddad. I mean, the yellow watch band, the long hair, like, don't care. You've got goals, man. Like,
Goals.
I am a fan of the Todd Storch.
Yep, he surfed up to the to the building
exactly.
here and hopped off his board.
So that was my
Dad,
comment.
bro.
And my question is, do you want to play a game?
Let's play a game.
It's called Blessed Are the Joke Makers. This one's going to be worth 86 points.
Oh, not
And
91, 86.
Not 91.
Okay.
It changes. You got to keep
All right.
got to keep them on their toes.
You know, you
And
got to judge us.
Okay.
that's
Yes,
right. That's exactly
determine
right.
Who is the best, or at the very least, who is the worst? You can just tell us the
You
loser.
can have your own criteria.
Isn't it
Yeah.
funny? The only criteria is who gets the points, Todd.
That's
Yeah.
the point.
Why is irrelevant.
Correct. It could be a total gut hunch thing.
Tell us
All right.
about the game, Paul.
Yes, so, all right, we've got a character card and a Catholic card game card, and we've got to answer the Catholic card game card as the character as best as we're able, and then you get to judge who you think either did that best or tickled your funny bone the right way.
Sappy 45-year-old male answering the question. No, I'm sorry. I was just trying to.
Oh, just describing you?
When
Okay.
did your birthday? You're still 44, right?
I think this show comes out after my birthday, actually.
Oh,
All right, well, here we go. So
time travel.
the character is wildest party animal, the topic of the next papal encyclical.
Bro, I just got into the media world. I've been selling stuff and just partying stuff and knocking stuff around. I'm up in New York. I just joined this new company, the Cats Media. Ow! And the next papal encyclical is all about the family. Thank you very much.
My name is Jeff Schiefelbein. And the next papal encyclical, I'll keep it clean, is going to be about the Beatitudes.
Thank you. I was like, please don't hurt him. Please don't hurt this fictional character you're playing.
Yeah, bro. So the next papal encyclical is gonna be about the joy of hops and barley. It's called Gaudium et Shinerona.
You got to be super Catholic.
That went way over my head.
To be fair,
I never studied in Rome, Paul.
we had a friend today say, I stopped listening to your show because I have no idea all these Catholic references. That's okay.
I don't
Gaudium,
either.
I know this one, Gaudium et Spes.
Yeah. It's actually not an encyclical. It's a Vatican II document. But
It's just a thought exercise from the Vatican. Todd, sorry, but got to pick somebody.
You know, I think 2 of 3 of you used the word bro or brother when you started. That's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Party on.
Party on, Garth. Jeff, I'm going to pick you because you had like 7 different
I got one.
things that you pulled out of the air.
He does the
I love
buckshot
that. I love
buckshot approach.
Yes. Pop, pop, pop.
Favorite sound effect. Let's go. Jeff's personal
86 points.
soundtrack to his life.
Oh, yeah. That's actually, I wake up to that. My friend, for being our celebrity judge today, you're going to get a pair of Divine Mercy socks from Sockreligious, the bottom of which has the famous, I say famous.
It is famous.
The prayer, Jesus, I trust in you. When you wear these, nobody questions whether or not you're Catholic.
These would look pretty good on the pickleball court. So I may
There
be
you
wearing
go.
those.
Let's go. And if you want to get your
Absolutely.
pair of Soccerreligious socks, you can head over to soccerreligious.com/beatidudes and get 10% off.
You're really good with websites. I've learned that about you.
URLs.
Yeah.
They go in spreadsheets.
Nerd.
Nerd. All right, my friend. I don't even know where to go with all that.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, I would like to do this. We've had a very powerful opening to the show. We have a bonus show that I want everybody to tune into. At the end of the week, we do our bonus with Todd. But I thought maybe we could kick in right now and talk about our TBD question.
Yeah.
So from the TBD deck, the Beatted Dudes deck, which has a D squared, and I'm working on it's a working
Absolutely.
title.
TBD squared.
So, we're coming off of I like to call this time of year Father's Day month.
You always do that, Jeff?
It's the most fatherly time of the year.
Have you always done that, or just when you have a podcast? When you
Yeah, it's stuff I'm speaking things into life.
There you go.
People have birthday months. I would like to have a lot of months.
Father's Day month.
Father's Day month.
Love
There
it.
you go.
Yeah. So, but we talk about fathers a lot. I thought it would be interesting to pull a question out of the deck that is just to talk about something that you admire about your father-in-law. So we each got one. So
Yeah.
this is not a stretch. I know from talking to you guys over the years that it's not a stretch, but I'll just jump in and say my father-in-law, Doug Brown, one of the things I love about this man is he's like the original cowboy. And in that, I mean, he's not trying to philosophize or have all the right answers, but he is always there. Like he will ride for the brand, for the family. And so if somebody needs something, he's there, no matter how arduous it is to be there. If there is something like a podcast, he'll listen to every one of them. If his kids are working somewhere, he'll stop by there every day for lunch. It's a being there that I think is such a great witness to fatherhood. And he does a tremendous amount for me. I'm blessed to consider him one of my best friends, but I'm blown away by how much he is just present. So be there for others. That's what I admire about him.
That's strong.
You got one?
Yeah, I do. I've got an amazing father-in-law, Bernie Taylor.
Bernie Taylor.
Bernie and his wife, Joan Taylor, they live about...
Is this where the name Taylor came from?
Yes.
All right, Bernie Taylor.
Yes, you're exactly right. Tara's middle name is now Taylor, so Tara Taylor Storch, and we named our first kiddo. Yep.
Wow.
It was going to be boy or girl. So anyway, enough of that. Bernie Taylor's an amazing man. He's 89 years old. He's now in a wheelchair. Him and his wife, Joan, who's 90, who just needs a little bit of a walker assistant. They live about 12 minutes from us down at St. Joseph's, if you guys know where that is. What I admire about this man, I'm giving the example just from Father's Day. We had everybody over Sunday afternoon for Father's Day, and she couldn't make it. She didn't feel that well, which is really, really odd for her because, the great-grandkid was going to be there and all of that. So just one perfect example of what I admired about him. We're all sitting around, we're getting ready to eat, and I noticed that he's for those of you who can't see me, he's like trying to check his pockets and things like that, and then he realized he had a cell phone, and he asked Ryan, my son, he's like, could you call Nana? We call her Nana. So he dials Nana, and he gets on the phone. All he was doing was just checking in on her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just that little bitty thing. I looked at that and I went, boy, would I have called Tara?
Yeah.
Because I'm living in the moment. I got my great-grandkid, and I just observed that 4-second act of just gratitude. And that's just a little piece of what I just absolutely admire about the man.
Incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. So mine is Randy Truesdell, and
I love that name.
Right?
Truesdale. Randy Truesdale.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot about him that I could admire and talk about. One of the things is, this is a selfish one, he's kind of become a big promoter for me. Like he shows off my Toyota commercial. He has it on his phone, like just ready to draw, and so so people
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's wild, yeah. So and they do he and his wife Dawn, they do Airstream trips. So they're part of all of those rallies and things like that. And so anytime they set up camp somewhere and they're asking about their, kids and grandkids and all that. He's like, oh, and my son-in-law was in this commercial. It's just like one of the first things apparently that he does. So that's really cool. Yeah. So that's just super fun. But one of the main things about him is that he's got this West Texas just can-do work ethic where if it needs to be done, he'll get it done. If it needs to be figured out, he'll figure out a way to do it. And he finagles things, orders the right parts, whatever needs to happen to like fix things. And then beyond that, he will find a way to do that for people who need it. So in their community, for people who do Airstream stuff all the time. So they have their house and then you have your Airstream.
Wow.
It's a pretty cool setup. Yeah. But within that kind of village, that they live in, if somebody has something break down or whatever, he's the one going over there, finding a way to fix it for them or helping install a new door or whatever all the stuff is. I mean, he's on it. And
it's like a life of purpose. You're giving.
He knows what he's doing and he's always finding a way to do it for others.
Awesome.
That's cool.
So cool. Yeah. My father-in-law is Wayne Flightman. Wayne, if you think about the book, the 5 love languages, Wayne is like acts of service to the
nth degree,
100%, whatever the 100th percentile of a human doing acts of service is. That's Wayne. Like constantly for the family, whatever it is, he comes last, and that's just such a cool model. And I just know like my wife is stronger because she had a dad like that, and so that is inspiring for me. For my girls.
Nice.
If you're a level 1 beatitude listening to this, I would encourage you to first reflect on this, right? Assuming, whatever family relationships you have. But a lot of times we forget that father-in-laws also need to be honored in that way. And can you imagine, and I know the 4 of us, assuming we're able to share this or everybody is listening to everything that we're doing, big fan, they're going to be honored by this, whether we hear it or not back from them. Can you imagine, though, the text message, the phone call, the handwritten note to say to a father-in-law, I respect you, I admire you, and here's something that I've always been very impressed by or that has helped to shape me. That handwritten note, you can deliver that without having to feel awkward, right? Put it in the U.S. mail. They will or won't come back to you on that one. But, find ways to bless people, because in blessing people, you are so blessed in return. I think that's a beatitude challenge. If you want to move up from level 1 to 1.1, to get to level 2, you got to be on the show.
Yeah. It's very incremental below that.
Level 10 is when you sponsor the show.
You can shortcut it.
We are sellouts.
This brought to you by Todd Storch.
He did not know. Just to be clear, we're just promoting
ourselves. Hey, before we wrap this one up, actually, I know we got a little game to play too, but tell us about the Pocket Square.
So, thank you for asking. This is Pantone 319. We call it Taylor Blue.
Taylor Blue.
And it's the color of her eyes. And so if you go to taylorsgift.org, you're going to see a color palette. And then you're going to see things that are a lot like this. And so that's just a part of the branding. And it's just a way for me to honor and think about her and just, extend that outlive yourself spirit.
Oh, my goodness.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
You guys pierced straight into my heart. In the break, I put a breastplate in here and you still pierced it.
After you used up the whole Kleenex box. I mean, all of us did.
But I needed that box for my breastplate. Paul, how are we finishing this show? What does Reverse Simpsons look like for you?
So Reverse Simpsons, we're going to do a little improv game. And so this is actually, it's something that actually works in workshops. It's more of an entertaining warm-up kind of game, but we're going to have a little fun with it here. And Todd, we're going to ask you to jump in with us if that's all kosher with you. I mean, you've been on the stage before. You know how this works.
All right.
He's your dad, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So it's word association. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to say a word to get started, and we're just going to move around the circle, and we have to say a word that the previous word makes us think of. So don't get stuck on listening. Like maybe you hear Jeff say the word peanut butter, right? And it can be a short phrase or whatever too, but like you hear him say peanut butter. Okay, so Nick, don't be stuck on like jelly, right? Because there's two other ideas that come in between.
Sure.
So that's the whole idea, is that we're trying to really just listen and respond to the last thing said. And we're going to add a layer to this. We're going to do a quick warm up of it.
Are we judging each other? We're building each other up.
We're friends.
Okay.
It's a communal game.
We can dole out single digit points if we really like something somebody said.
That's
okay.
gracious.
Just a little bit.
2 points.
Yeah, just
for being so nice to me, Paul.
No, well, thank you, Christopher, make sure you tack those on. Okay. Christopher's our number one YouTube fan. He is phenomenal.
True.
All right, so let's just start. We'll start with a word. Why don't we start with Grandpa?
Grandmother.
Farm.
House.
City.
Town.
Munster.
Cheese.
Yummy.
Delicious.
Bacon.
Fry.
Oreo.
Milk.
Cow.
Udder.
Lee ridiculous. Okay,
So
there's
that was good.
there's the idea, right?
Way ridiculous. You heard it here.
All right, so let's try. We'll spice it up a little bit here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say words, but now we want to try to tell a coherent story, one word at a time.
Gotcha.
Right. So I might say spider, and then you would follow up with whatever that makes you think, like Spider
Man.
There you go. Right.
Left.
His.
Home.
To.
Adventure.
Out.
In.
The world.
I'll let it slide. That was 2 words.
Yeah. It's all good. Keep going. We got this.
Next.
Unfortunately.
Mary.
Had.
Turned.
Sour.
Grapes.
Utterly.
Ridiculous.
Yummy.
But.
Spider-Man.
Loves.
Drama.
And.
Webs.
Then.
He.
Encountered.
A.
Horrible.
Accident.
On.
YouTube.
Spider-Man.
And.
His.
Next door neighbor.
8.
Mary.
James.
Until.
She.
Jumped.
The.
Donkey.
Hoisted.
Okay. See. All right. So there we go. We got a little story. Let's do one more, and we'll try to do this as quickly as possible. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. That's fine. But part of the fun will be just trying to go with our gut instincts.
I would challenge somebody too to make what we just said into a short cartoon. There's a whole community out there of really talented people, ChatGPT, that can make this happen for us.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to see that show up. We could share it on the socials and give you full credit. That'd be awesome. All right. So let's get somebody for the story. Who's the protagonist? Let's just throw that out there to begin with, and then we'll also add like an object. So just from you guys, who do we want to tell a story about?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Okay, great. Sure. So we've got Ronald Reagan, and what's an object that has nothing to do with Ronald Reagan? Something completely unrelated. So like, don't throw communism out there or whatever. That's unrelated. I mean, that is related. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Chocolate donut.
Chocolate donut. I love it. Okay. In
Washington.
Reagan.
Airport.
There
Was.
A.
Chocolate.
donut.
That.
Was.
Rolling.
Down
The.
Mountain.
Then.
the
Donut.
Saw.
Ronald.
Reagan.
Wow.
Ronald.
Remarked.
We
Have
To.
Do.
something.
about.
This.
Rolling.
Stone.
I mean.
What.
Would.
Jesus.
Do.
Scene.
Okay, yeah, we go.
We have to do something about this. I mean, that's what he's known for. Seeing a really bad situation and saying, we have to do something. What would Jesus do?
That's it. That's it. Yeah. All right. Well, that was fun and chaotic. That was beautifully chaotic.
What's the mountain that's in Ronald
Reagan.
Reagan Airport?
You probably hadn't been there recently.
Yeah.
There's a new mountain.
They're all over Texas. They're all
No, it's really cool. They've made these paintings that are more like the 3-dimensional paintings, and they're of mountains, and it's right where the donuts come out.
Oh, that's
So
right.
you can stay at the bottom. You can either catch them in your mouth, or you can just say, what would Jesus do?
Yeah, or you can redistribute them.
And
to
Ronald
everybody.
stands right there going,
Yes.
not so much.
Yeah, he remarks about
What's
a lot of
happening?
stuff. All right, this is ridiculous. I cannot wait to come back together with you, Todd, for the bonus episode. But I'm going to say it again, taylorsgift.org for support, for inspiration, for organ donation, and for community. You have blessed us beyond belief today. I'll say this. We're going to see all of you level 1 Beatitudes in the Eucharist. And every time we're in the Eucharist, we will also be together with Taylor. See you soon.
This podcast is part of the Spoke Street Network. For more great podcasts, visit spokestreet.com.